Welcome to Face to Face Podcast, Season 2, Episode 9, where we're going to be talking about the eXp movement, why so many top agents across the country are moving their real estate teams, brokerage, and solo agents are moving over to eXp in the cloud, the platform that is now powering some of the top teams in the country. Come on, let's get started.
This is Face to Face with the co-founders of the National Association of Expert Advisors, Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
We believe that we can change the real estate industry. There is a better way to sell real estate.
Your success is ultimately a sum of the decisions that you make.
And they're really developing a process, a set of guidelines, a set of procedures.
They're also best-selling authors.
Here today to discuss the issue is Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
All right, Jay Kinder, how are you doing today, buddy?
Man, I am best day of my life every day. How about you?
Man, it's good. It's good. It's really good. I'm really excited about the podcast. I've had a lot of amazing, for those of you who may or may not know or didn't capture the email that we sent out last week, we've just had a tremendous amount of people that have been subscribing. And I wanted just to thank everybody kind of up front, just for all of your support and staying tuned and plugging in. And we got a lot of great feedback on the danger report. I don't know about you, Jay, but I got a lot of messages online. Some of the other industry leaders who have been watching a lot of the Facebook Lives that you've been doing, and really the interviews we've been doing around the country with some of the top agents in the country, and really, picking their minds clean and really getting to the bottom of why so many of these agents are leaving their current brokerages and moving to the cloud-based brokerage eXp. So, man, I'm really excited about the topic today.
Yeah, I think, we've, we're always about adding value and giving back and doing, really making this content about what can help you grow your real estate business. But we really haven't sat down and said, let's pick apart the model and show everybody why people are moving to eXp and giving you some real, just a better understanding, whether you decide to move to eXp or not, or you're looking at it or not. You definitely should be aware of the business model and why it's taking off the way it is. So we wanted to dedicate this episode to that and make sure that that we give you as much information as you can so you can make a good decision for yourself. Awesome, man. So let's dive right in. Yesterday we interviewed one of the top agents in Silicon Valley. For me, and maybe you're different. I saw him, after that Facebook Live, over 100 people shared that interview. And, I remember him saying right there at the beginning, he had looked at the opportunity in the very beginning and it didn't make sense, but he came back a year later and really the big constraint he had was this whole cloud versus needing some bricks and mortar. And so I thought he had a lot of good perspective to share on a lot of issues, but I do think, in talking to people, that's one of the big things. What do you see out there as it relates to, being in the cloud and agents trying to kind of overcome that paradigm shift? Yeah, so I think, looking at this from a real estate agent wanting to be successful, and I know a lot of the listeners that we have are mega agents, and I think there's kind of two distinctive differences in the conversations that we're having with folks that are looking at eXp. We have the movers and shakers, the influencers that, you're seeing a lot of people move over, like Jeff Cook and Brett Jennings and so many others that we have that have moved over that we've known for years and years and years that are just killing it, doing 300, 400, 500, 600 transactions. And when you look at, the eXp model, opportunity is what attracts talent. And, we learned this over the years and just having, being in the real estate space and really providing coaching and training that, the biggest and baddest of the industry are always seeking opportunity. And there hasn't been an opportunity like this presented in the real estate space since, probably 30 years. At least I've never seen anything like it. So, I think Keller Williams was starting before I was even getting in the business and they were already taking off. So we just haven't seen any kind of an opportunity like this. And then there's the agent that's, that's probably doing 30 or 40 transactions. It's out there going, why in the world would I want to go to a cloud-based brokerage? I'm not interested in, recruiting or agent attraction. And I don't know that this is a good move for me. And they're trying to get clear on really, is this a good model for me to go to? And what I found personally, just in the conversations myself and being obviously a part of eXp and communicating in the cloud and on Facebook Workplace, is that the most amazing thing I've seen, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that a company that is completely cloud-based only has one way to communicate, and that is through the platform of the cloud and Facebook Workplace, becomes much more resourceful, in collaboration with each other. And it's easier to get answers faster, anywhere you are from your phone. You can jump into Workplace. I'm messaging, the executive team and getting responses within 5 minutes. They live on these platforms and they answer all questions. They communicate to each other this way. So, it's created this culture online of, and I think the business model is so aligned to people helping each other. And the business model also, has the agents excited and talking about how wonderful the company is consistently, not just because there's an agent attraction benefit, but because they're getting ownership in the company, and they're excited when they see the stock going up, and they're telling everybody about it. And so there's this culture that's happening with this online brokerage that I've never seen done with bricks and mortar. And I think we understand the business model, and we can unpack this a little bit further, as why being cloud-based as one single brokerage as a publicly traded company versus the franchise model is so beneficial to, and how they've reallocated those dollars, into this business model to give back to the agents that help grow the company. That's the secret sauce behind it. But what I've been more surprised to see is how efficient and effective the online brokerage is as it compares to the bricks and mortar brokerage. It really is a much better way to do business once you get involved and you see it every day and you realize, wow, I can get an answer to anything from anybody just at the click of a button. So that's been kind of my takeaway in some of the conversations that I've had. There's kind of two distinctive differences, and once people get through and see what it is and they experience it, they start to get it and have a much better understanding of why everybody's moving over here.
So, for a lot of people, that what I'm seeing is, and this is just some of my perspective, is, there's a lot of pressure on the broker that isn't providing, value. That's where a lot of the pressure is coming from from an agent who's trying to make a decision whether to stay with their current brokerage or move away. And if they've come under some false value proposition, it's like with brand, brand matches perception over time. I was talking to a lady yesterday, and sweet lady, just go get her. I told you about her this morning, and she had just made an investment in one of the number one fastest growing franchise in the country, and in real estate. And she had been with them, and I say she had been with them for 2 years on kind of their model of how they launch a new brokerage, and she's an agent. And she came under this paradigm of getting profit share. And she literally reached out to me. I mean, she was proactive reaching out to me and said, at one point, every week she sees somebody say, hey, it's my favorite day of the month. It's profit share. But usually that's only relevant to like one or two people, and none of them in her office because they're not even profitable. And so Where I feel like people are being exposed right now is that if you had a value proposition that you're not delivering on, then you should probably be a little bit nervous. And so, it's not just what, you see some people combating this by doing virtual training, but you have to come to the brick and mortar office to get the virtual training, right? Right. Which is, kind of, I guess trying to aim in the right direction, but missing the point, of convenience. Right. And so with that being said, it's very interesting. And I think I heard that someone had, I guess it was Brett who had mentioned he had went to the Inman in his interview yesterday. He had went to the Inman conference or something where they said, eXp might not change real estate tomorrow, but they damn sure are going to be putting pressure on brokers that are not delivering value in exchange for what they're getting and, for the investment that the agents are making. And it's at the end of the day, they're helping the agent win. That's my perspective.
Right. No question. And I think, there's a couple of different, I've noticed there's kind of two different subsets of agents. The subset of agents that recognize that they are the brand and that the brokerage doesn't matter. For all of the listeners here, I would say that's most of you. that understand that, man, I'm the brand. It doesn't matter if there's balloons on my sign. It doesn't matter, what color the sign is. I'm the brand, and you recognize that. And then there's the other half, of the market probably that not counting your non-producing agents that I really don't factor into anything that I consider when I'm doing anything. Because I just don't want to work with the average agent that does 4 deals a year. It's not who we want to spend our time with. Let's put it that way, as Jennings might say. So, those agents that think that it matters because they lean on the brand because, we're number one, or, we're number one in this area, or we're number one. The consumer doesn't care. The consumer doesn't care because the brand doesn't manage the consumer relationship. You do as an agent. And so, I think that's an interesting point to make is that for those that understand that you're the brand, you are always looking for the best deal when it comes to brokerage. So, when you see and you're seeking truth and you look and say, why are all these independents? Well, you keep all the money. If you're the brand, why are independent agents like Jeff Cook with 1,000 transactions last year moving over to eXp? What am I missing? What is, how would I make this work if I was going to do it? I think that's what we realized that they've done is they've made a business model where you're being compensated. You have an opportunity at least to be compensated to be at that brokerage and make more than 100% of the commissions and create a new revenue stream, within this platform by leveraging your influence and leveraging what you've built in your career to grow a new residual income stream that seems to be very durable and long lasting and has really a huge upside. Not to mention, the stock ownership is a big deal. Having equity in a publicly traded company. Most of us that are independent, or those of you who have gone independent, you went that direction, to own your own business and to have your be able to make your own decisions and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, is your independent business sellable is another conversation we can have. And that's what you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to build some equity into something. And you could try to implement some type of ownership for your agents, but it's not worth anything. They can't go online and look at the ticker symbol and see that, man, I have something of real value here. Whether it's going up or down, doesn't matter. It's real. And for us, we could have tried to implement that or mimic this model, but unless you have all of the pieces, cloud brokerage, publicly traded company, revenue share, a revenue share program that's never been seen in the real estate industry, just is unparalleled. That's what's magical is when you put all this together, and that's what makes it a win for everybody that comes on board is because you're not paying anything to be here. They're paying you to be there.
Dude, I love that, man. I love that. Let me ask you a question. So, one of the things that I feel like I get most when I'm talking to agents, is they're extremely excited and a little nervous, and kind of share, and this is just my perspective. I had a call that I typically go back to my last experience because it's top of mind, right? And I don't even want to say this, but I'm going to because I think it's important. And you tell me if I'm off, if I'm off here. But how much of during this momentum, is it really opportunity cost for people who sit on the fence? Like, how important is timing to this opportunity? The reason I share that is because from my previous experiences and also my current experience, I've just seen a lot of people who, when I saw the opportunity a year ago. The only thing is I didn't see the opportunity a year ago.
Right. Yeah. So, I think it's really a great question to have some conversation around. And, this company isn't just a North American company that's going to have, a couple 100,000 agents, which I do believe it'll have in excess of 200,000 agents just in the United States, not including Canada, which we're already in Canada and rocking it up there. There's every day. So I end up on a phone call, it seems like, or somebody who's got an angle on trying to open up a new market like Belize or Australia or whatever. This is a global company, and it's a global platform. It works anywhere you have real estate. And so, they're not talking about, we're going to get 200,000 agents. They're talking about, there's 25 million agents. So I think the opportunity is much, much bigger than what people really think. And what you're seeing is the beginning of a movement. You're seeing the beginning of a movement today. So, we're sitting here, if you're listening to this podcast, we're at the end of March going into April 2018. There's 9,000-ish agents in eXp today. It's gonna continue to they've doubled in the last 6 months. Since we've been there, they've doubled. So we were there, they crossed the threshold of 5,000 agents. That is a drop in the bucket. That's not even you're still a small startup with 5,000 agents. So now that we're approaching this 10,000 number, which is the magic number, the tipping point, if you will, Malcolm Gladwell, that's said to be the tipping point. And I feel like it's 100% spot on, because if you look at, you cannot ignore the agents that are moving over, and we know the backlog of agents that are onboarding right now, mega agents across the country, number one agent in every market. We know every agent in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in just about every market. And we know which ones are coming, and we know which ones are on the fence. And I heard this morning another, icon, high level person that is a tremendous influencer that's coming on board. I'm super excited to work with. They're all seeing it, and they're all coming. So I think that, again, early stages, we're not even at the early adopter stages of this company's growth. We're only in, the United States and Canada. So is the opportunity going to pass you by at this point? No, it hasn't. Do you stand to have a much bigger upside if you move today versus to, next year? Yeah, I think so. I think, you're missing out on, and here's, and again, I'm not trying to make any income claims or anything like that, but what I've experienced is, there's 400 agents in our down, in our revenue share team today, meaning, they've joined underneath us or someone underneath us. And that's happened in about 4 months, 5 months, if you will, probably 5 months total. And we're over 400. And, of those directly, we've only influenced maybe 40, something like that. So that's an interesting dynamic, that it's 10x below us. And what I've seen when you look historically at people that have been in the company a year, 2 years, is that it just grows so crazy underneath you. You can't even try to predict what it's going to do. It just continues to grow. And whether or not you get serious about that aspect of the business or not, it doesn't really matter. When you tell someone who tells someone who tells someone, it creates kind of a life of its own. And while the company is in mega fast growth mode, everyone it's high tide. Everyone's going to benefit by, it being, where it's at today, and it being the talk, the talk that's going on about eXp. And when you got people like Gary Keller, mentioning it 12 times in his vision speech, you couldn't have asked for a better outcome than that. That's what, to me, that I think it's, there's a tremendous opportunity, and there will be for a number of years, but I would want to get in early rather than late.
Yeah. And that was my talk. The funny thing is, I remember a couple of months ago talking to you, and you said, that right now they had 500 agents in the state of California. And I was talking to another girl, and she texted me. I think she texted you, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I'm the first one in my city." Right.
Right.
And then I talked to this, that was a young lady that we've been working with that recently came on board. A group of actually 3 girls doing 130 million in production. And then I had a call with a gal yesterday that said, "Yeah, I'm the first one in my city, and I'm so excited about XYZ as well." And I was like, man, I don't know what that was like with other brands and other opportunities. But at the end of the day, this is simply just an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow your business. And the question really becomes, have you done your homework? Are you being emotional? Are you doing the math, right? Have you done the math? And for me, I guess it really comes down to, what is your long-term goal for your business? And at the end of the day, if your goal for your business is to create wealth for your family, if your goal for your business is to create income from your family, if your goal for your business is to have your business work harder for you than you do for it, if your goal for your business is to, use leverage, which is to get the maximum result for the minimum effort, then I would just tell people that they need to look. I know that we did a webinar, Jay, recently, how about if somebody's listening to this? I guess they could private message us on Facebook, or and we could share with them, kind of the new webinar that you really went and broke down. I think you did an amazing job, like literally taking somebody through a linear process of how to really go through the questions of, what do I expect out of my real estate career? Am I building an asset? What's the future look like? Because I think the most shameful thing in business is 3 years from now being exactly where you are, or just maybe marginally 5 or 10% better than you are. I mean, you should expect more from your business. There's nothing except your own thinking, your own constraint and thought. Everything starts with thought. Every great movement, every great business idea, every great wealth creation for every family started with someone thinking that something was actually maybe even possible, and then taking some sort of step. So what would you tell someone who's listening to our podcast that says, you know what, not really sure what these guys are talking about, but I've listened to some of the other stuff and I believe what they're saying is there's something I should find some more information about. What's the best way for someone to take that next step with us?
Right. Great point. So what I would say is, you want to invest, you could go online and Google it or whatever, and you'll find a ton of stuff. And, I think that's a good second step, is to find some support, some supporting evidence to what we kind of share with you. But on the webinar that we did, I think we did do a really good job of really breaking it down and giving you the nuts and bolts. I would invest, and it's an investment of an hour of your time. And I would say that the people that make that investment are the people that are reaching out to us and wanting to learn more about how they can partner up with us in this opportunity, and link arms with us, because they understand the perspective that we're coming from and what we're doing to help you be successful within the eXp model. So I think that was what I would do. You can go to 7-Figure Agent, spell it out, 7figureagent.com, and you can register and watch that webinar. And I'm not going to call you. I can tell you that much. I haven't called a single person. I won't bother you. So, if you think, oh, I don't want to do that, I don't want you bothering me or calling me, because we won't. We haven't called anybody. But at the end of that opportunity, you'll have the ability to reach out and get in our calendar, and we'll answer questions and help you get clear if it makes sense for you. And one thing I'd love to talk about, Michael, is we had a really good conversation, like you mentioned, with Jennings yesterday. And I think what happens is, all of us, as we grow our careers, we get to a certain point where selling more homes, and being on the transaction treadmill is no longer, the goal, right? I'm not trying to sell 2,000 homes next year. That's not, there's nothing more fulfilling in that goal, that we start looking at what are things that we can do that where we're helping others, and we're able to, take what we've learned and enhance people's lives in a more, intentional way. So that's how we ended up being in the coaching industry in the first place. Is, we wanted something more. We knew that we could give more, and make a bigger impact in people's lives. And I think that's what we're seeing, at eXp, is agents that have value to give are, we're really kind of disrupting the coaching model, if you will, as we kind of discussed this earlier. We're disrupting this model is disrupting the coaching model, because agents can now, join eXp, and the agents in their marketplace that are dominant are now willing to give them the keys to the kingdom, if you will, the secrets to their own success in that marketplace, or, coaches like us giving you, all of the training and stuff we used to charge thousands and thousands of dollars for, and getting direct access to us as almost as business partners is how we look at it. That's a pretty unique advantage that you have by being at eXp, if you are an influencer, to attract and add more value to more people. But it's also a unique advantage for the agent who wants to be connected to someone who has a proven track record of success that's doing it, and they're willing to share those, the secrets that they typically would hold much closer to your vest. What are your thoughts on that the benefit that agents are going to receive by all these mega agents being willing to share when you join under their revenue share group, if you will?
I think it's a point of opportunity, and it's kind of a crazy conversation, because you really want to make sure, as someone at eXp, I mean, our goal is, our other people that are in this business, our goal is never to when someone comes into eXp, they're trying to make a decision. Sometimes they're trying to interview who's going to be their sponsor. And so we always say, listen, if you're having a conversation with somebody and it's active, you're engaged, we want to celebrate that relationship between you and the other people because we want to have a great culture at eXp, right?
Right.
Like you said, Jay, there's 25 million agents out there. We'll probably have 100, next year in foreign countries we don't know. The thing that's crazy is so other people, and I saw an interesting perspective. To answer your direct question first, is I think it's alignment and compensation behavior. And I think, like you and me had the conversation, is it's an amazing natural progression that happens as you become successful in anything. Think about all the basketball coaches in the world. They're basketball coaches because they played basketball. They made mistakes. They didn't make mistakes. You have junior high, high school, college, and some people who want to be in the NFL. But at the end of the day, every little league has a coach, right? And so right. In eXp, you have the ability to mentor people, and your behavioral compensation alignment is done in such a way where people are really trying to add value. And it's almost like there's going to be, it's like Wikipedia, when you source the whole world to come up with information, it's hard to outproduce the content of, that type of business model. So what I believe is that when you have so many people incentivized for creating training and sharing things that are working versus the opposite model, which is disincentivized to train my competitor in my local market, I think that there's going to be a lot of cool things that happen. And I think there's going to just be cooler and cooler ways that people help close the gap and help people get to their total, everybody has a potential. And that potential is limited sometimes to someone else's ability to help them. And for me, you helped me get to $1 million a year in gross commission in 3 years. You didn't have to do it. That's just, I think you've always been like that since the day that I've known you. But I don't know that you would have done that if I was in your office, right? And so,
I would not have. I can tell you.
Right.
And to a certain degree, I did try to help the agents in my office, but I quickly
you wouldn't have done, told me the conferences, told me the website, told me the guy to call to run my ads, things like that. And so my point is that I think it's going to create a real competitive advantage. Listen, brand is perception matched over time. I didn't say that that's Elon Musk. Other people's brands, they have a culture. The culture might be, almost like high school, but at the end of the day, it's a competitive culture where the guy down the hall doesn't want to see you succeed. He definitely isn't focused on it. And where I'm seeing the shift come is there's a place for the top producers to actually ascend to, because listen, after you go on 368 listings or actually list 368 homes a year, or like yourself, 531, sell them, you don't get the same fulfillment out of going and winning the listing. It becomes more fulfilling to help other people do it and get leverage and get some of your time back that you sacrificed trying to learn all the stuff that you did with the time you spent away from your family. And so one of the things that I wanted to point out that I feel like is, they used to say if you attract the influencers, you would win. Well, this attracts the influencers, the coaches, everybody in a way that instantly creates an awesome incentive for everybody to work together. And at the end of the day, innovation is just the very nature of creating value. And so it's very innovative because you're having people think of different ways to create value. And by the very nature of creating value, I believe you actually win. Now, can that does that value creation ultimately does it go all the way down and ended up being at the consumer? Well, here's some food for thought. No, it didn't with Amazon when they just sold books. But who says eXp's cloud is going to be just books? Why wouldn't a consumer be able to go on there and not only talk to an agent, but get insurance, hook up their utilities? Now we're talking about the real thing that Warren Buffett saw, which was the real estate professional being the conduit to the real value that was created in a real estate transaction, mortgage, electricity, the lifetime value of a consumer. Well, all you got to say is if you can get the agent to go into the cloud, and you can get an agent that's going to have a disproportionate revenue stream to reinvest back into their business or retire, whichever the one it is that they decide to do. It's like Amazon. Amazon didn't start with books. Everyone didn't pay attention to them. They're just a book company. They weren't just a book company. They were a platform for connecting buyers and sellers in a way that was way more disruptive than if you would have looked at Amazon or if you look at eXp as just being a real estate brokerage. eXp is not just a real estate brokerage. They're allowing things to happen, and they're doing it in a way that is disruptive. What does it do currently? Yeah, they disrupted Walden Books at first, but guys, make no sense about it. You know, you have Toys R Us and other niches that can easily plug in. And why wouldn't they plug into a cloud if there's, like you said, 25 million agents or whatever the number is going to be? I don't know. But if there was, the bottom line is it's no different than Facebook or Google or anything. If you can create a way to win all the eyeballs, and then you can turn around and do that with the consumer, I do think that people are ignorant to think that it's if you call Amazon a book company, then you can call eXp simply a real estate brokerage.
Right. And the crazy thing about that, Michael, is that what we've noticed in I had my own mortgage company in Oklahoma, my own title company, and I had a capture rate of 65% most of the time that I had that. So, I had control of the lead gen, so I had control of the agents and where the business went. So I captured more of the value. The interesting thing about this business model is, like, if you can go to any real estate company that's got a title company in their office or a mortgage company in their office, and they've got to fight and claw and kick and do everything they can to get any of the capture any of the business in that office. They got to earn it. Because the broker typically doesn't drive the agent to where they do business with as far as mortgage and title goes. So there's still that relationship that has to be built in order to earn that business. What I'm seeing at eXp is that as we are all owners in this company, as we all have multiple ways to earn stock in this company, the upside is much greater for all of us if we all use that mortgage or that title or that insurance or that utility concierge. We all are incentivized to be in alignment. It's one of the most incredible business models I've ever seen in terms of behavior alignment, compensation alignment, which we know and we've talked about. Charlie Munger is one of his number one misconceptions and mistakes that people make. I know that just a little bit of misalignment in the in a business model on alignment to compensation and behavior can drive dramatically different results. And this is just one of those magical business models that has really nailed it. And it what does that mean for this company and its stock and its shareholders? I think it means that we have the biggest opportunity of our lifetime in front of us by being in alignment with this company.
100%. And it's that was well said, Jay. And at the end of the day, whether it's, I think it's a better model for someone who's a soul. If it was my mom, my dad, my sister, if it was myself, and this is at the end of the day, that it's what I would do. It's what I would recommend, whether I was building a team, whether I was expanding my business, because it makes dollars and that makes sense. And if you don't believe that the person who has the most money to invest, to afford to get a customer doesn't have the unfair advantage, you're wrong. That's the bottom line. You see it every day in business, and I saw it when teams first started. When teams first started, the broker gave their agent, a fixed cap. That agent that was smart enough to not take that money and go buy him a dang boat or, a new car and took that money and put it back into their business, guess what they did? They grew, and they grew in a disproportionate way of being able to get more customers, and they started hiring agents. And what happened was we had these team models come out, but what really happened was they had to keep all the listing leads for themselves because they still had to eat. Now, expansion comes, and now they're using those same, what we did in partner, they're using that. Oh, okay, well, we won't sit on this. If you'll get out of my backyard and you'll go over here, I'll power all of your tools. I'll give you my tools, my systems, my resources. I'll become the hub and spoke, if you will. And if you go look at the hub and spoke pitch, the great example is what Walmart did. And it's just the business model, guys. That's all it is. And so the business model of hub and spoke is what that was pitched around. Like, hey, we'll have a hub and then we'll spoke out and we'll get a disproportionate share because we'll have efficiencies that all these other, you don't have to have these redundancies and things. And guess what? People did it, and they're proving it out. And no different than the team was a Frankenstein model, and it was a model of best practices. So was expansion and partner. But let me tell you, all of those models that at the end of the day give an unfair advantage to the person who's running that business model, the ability to get more customers and have a disproportionate amount or budget to invest for wherever they're getting, whether they're making it as an arbitrage on, their labor dollar and being able to, you not have to have two of these people versus one of these and everybody getting economies of scale. Make no doubt about it. Real estate is getting interesting. The internet changed us when the agent-centric market model came out with executive realty. But they had, what did they have? They had no kick-out clauses in their franchise agreements they got poor talent sitting on good territories. And who learned from that? Keller Williams. And you know what? That's the bottom line is it's been the battle. But what Keller Williams and all these business agent-centric models didn't see in 1993 and 1994 when they said, you know what? We're not going to run the newspaper ads. We're not going to do these things anymore. We're going to let you do them. We're going to build a model on recruiting. And we're going to give all this money to you. And the average agent, top agent in the country, and their model never did more than $3 million. They never saw the internet. They never saw the internet coming. And when the internet came and the agent who had a fixed cap, who did well, learned how to invest and take advantage of what looked like it looked like a UFO at first. But you have the millennials. And let me tell you what the millennials are doing today, just so y'all know. They're going into football stadiums and watching two guys play a PlayStation. Yeah, go on Netflix and look at it. I'm in a building right now where one kid has more followers than the entire Dallas Cowboys, including Jerry Jones. One kid. They had to sign an NDA to get into our building because they have so many fans around the world. They get paid. Kids get paid $500,000 a month to play video games. So if you don't think these kids are used to sitting in front of a computer all day, in a virtual world, you're mistaken. You're mistaken. And just like the agents, when I asked them, do you know what text messages were? And they said, no. Oh, my daughter has that. Just like when I used to ask agents when it was DOS about email. Just when I used to ask them, do they have a website? And they showed me a website that had no phone number, no call to action. They didn't get it. People don't get it, bro. And you know as well as I do, the young people will come in here. They're gonna go into the cloud and they're gonna hack something and make custom. They're gonna make the cloud entertaining. They're gonna make people that go up there not only sell real estate but want to go up there to play around. There's no telling and get 25 million eyeballs.
They already are. There's
eyeballs up there and see what other people want to go up into that cloud and spend money because they know where the money's coming. And there's just no telling. And just like everybody rushed to go get their website up back in 2000 and 1996, people are going to be running up to the cloud, but it's going to be too late.
You well said, my brother. So that it reminds me of when I became the black sheep at my MLS, and I remember the tension in the room when I looked at the P&Ls for our MLS, and I was on the board of directors. And I asked them what the $38,000 a month was for MLS books. I was like, what is this? They clutched onto those MLS books like, no, I'm not letting go. No, I'm not letting go. I was like, are you telling me we're spending $38,000 a month for these books for members? And it was a common sense thing, but they looked at me like I was crazy and they didn't want to go. But are we using MLS books today? Nope.
No,
and
sure.
It's not happening. You can't, you have to look for the evidence of, you gave them the evidence. I mean, you got to look to where the like Gretzky said, look to where the puck is going. It's not going to more, slow growth, brick and mortar brokerages. And it doesn't mean you can't have bricks and mortar. It's just going to redefine how bricks and mortar, how that game is played. But, the brokerage is a cloud-based brokerage model. That's the future. And I think hopefully we're helping people to see that, because I think that's what you don't want to miss that.
Well, Jay, I'm going to tell people this. One of the things that me and Jay are doing is we're taking on topics on this, and we're not too scared to invite anybody who wants to come on here and talk about it. We're willing to do whatever, and we're more than willing to invest time in talking to you if you're serious we can point you in the right direction. For me, Jay, they can hit me on Messenger. I'm going to give you a direct link. You can go to m.me/Michael.Reese. That's REESE.169. If you put that into your browser, that'll take you to a direct link where you can message me. I personally read them all myself. I would love feedback about the show. Love feedback on what other topics me and Jay should be talking about. And if you know of anybody that we should bring onto the show, we're really excited about doing that in the future. And we just want to thank you guys in advance for, being loyal listeners, subscribing. If you haven't got a chance, I'm not going to give you too many call to actions, but yeah, if you can, make sure you subscribe.
Right. Definitely want you to subscribe. If you want to reach out to me, fastest way to do that, put my name, Jay Kinder, into Facebook, find me there and message me on Messenger as well. And I will happily reply to any and all of those messages, as I always do. And we appreciate you for coming on and listening. Share this with people that you think would get a benefit from it as well. And if there's anything we can do for you, absolutely reach out. Appreciate you. As we always say here at Kinder Reese, we'll either see you at the top
or from the top and pretty soon at the lake.
See y'all later.